Welcome to the Life Unscripted podcast with Rosabel, the place where genuine conversations meet inspiring stories, personal growth, and a dash of humor. I'm Rosabel, your host, inviting you to embrace life's unpredictable journey. Celebrate your unique story and find joy in everyday moments. Get comfortable, stay curious, and let's explore together. Unscripted, unapologetic, and unstoppable. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Life Unscripted podcast with Rosabel, where we dive into honest conversations, personal journeys, and the power of storytelling. Today, I am excited to welcome a truly inspiring guest, Dave Murphy. He is the host of the Unsung Podcast and author of several fascinating books, including, did you read a book called Spanish Fiesta?
No, I do have a Spanish version of my book, though.
Okay. It must be another Dave Murphy, see? Okay. So, let's just start by, let's just begin the show by, can you tell us a little bit about, just tell us about you. I want to get to know you a lot more. I mean, I was in your podcast, previously, and I know a little bit, but I want to get to know you better.
For sure. So, in 1994, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I was in an altercation with three guys, and as a result, I was knifed 13 times. I had a punctured lung. One missed my heart by half an inch. I had two severe wounds in my leg, so the muscle in my leg was severed, and took me about 6 months to learn how to walk again. But yeah, I'm pretty lucky to be here. So I struggled with PTSD for almost 25 years from that. I didn't know how to deal with anxiety or like panic attacks, so I drank as an escape, which was pretty dangerous. And then I ate horribly at pubs, and I blew up to almost closed in on 392 pounds was my biggest. And then my little girl came along, and she pretty much saved my life. That smartened me up, started the process. It took me for 4.5 years, but I dropped 170 pounds. And
Wow.
this year I turned 50 in August, and I'll be, we work out together. I'll be sober 3 years on that birthday, and just completely turned my life around at the age of probably 44 to 49.
Wow. So inspiring. And when did you start the podcast?
The podcast I started about 2.5 months ago.
Oh, okay.
I was the guest on there's a nurse in Chicago. She has a podcast. We met on the same page that we met on. And I just enjoyed it so much, and was just the conversation. And I'm like, wow, I could probably do this. But
Yes.
I had no self-confidence at all from, being a bigger guy for almost 20 years and just letting myself go. And she said, yeah, you should do it. And then I started it, and now I'm addicted, and I'm just meeting cool people from all over the world.
Yeah, same here. And you're also a musician, right?
Well, yeah, I started playing guitar when I was 10 and singing and stuff back then. And I gave up the guitar when I had my incident. But I used to go to a lot of karaoke, but I had to get drunk to sing. I couldn't get up in front of people, without some liquid courage. And 3 weeks ago, my girlfriend asked me to play a song at our church. They were doing a music concert that we actually met at the first one. So this was the second one. And she's like, you should get up and play your guitar and sing a song. And I'm like, no, not happening. And I did it. And in front of 150 people,
I
first
saw
time
the
I've
video.
ever,
It was pretty good.
yeah, the first time I ever played sober or sang sober in front of people. I almost passed out a couple times, but
Wow.
22,000 people have viewed that video. And I had a lady reach out to me. She's like, your song, that performance gave me the courage to volunteer at my church. Now I'm going to be playing piano, and just like, oh, it's so special. I still don't believe I did it, but I did it. There's
But
video.
you did it and it's on video. I can't say you didn't, right? This is not the 1980s when we did all kind of crazy stuff, and we could probably say we didn't because there were no smartphones, there were nothing to
No, you know
account
what?
for,
I
right?
went to the Dominican in 2001, And I'm a Newfoundlander. I'm Irish, and I get to the bar and they're like, "Oh, it's all inclusive. You can just drink whatever you want." And I'm like, "What did you say?"
Oh,
So there's some things I did down there that I'm glad there's no pictures of for social media.
I think all of us that grew up during that era, we're like, yeah, we're thankful for it.
Oh yeah.
I want to know about your book. Tell us about the book.
Well, the first one me and my daughter wrote. She was 9 years old, and when she was 4 years old, she just wanted to race me home from the playground. And I was at my biggest in about 390 pounds. And because of my leg injuries, like, I had to say, "Sorry, sweetie, dad can't run." And that little look in her eyes, disappointment, I'll never want to see it again as long as I live. So I'm like, that's it. So I went online. I'm like, "Listen, you guys, I'm going to drop 100 pounds this year, and I'm going to donate $1 a pound to my favorite military charity that helps people with PTSD and veterans." And I hit that goal in a year. And then I just kept going and going and going. And my close friend signed us up to do a 5 kilometer race together. And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, I can't run, man, but I'll walk fast." But we got about 100 meters from the finish line. She's like, "Dad, let's run. Let's run the last." I'm like, "Okay." So we're bolting to the finish line. She beat me by half a second, which I still hear about. And so we got our medals. We completed our first 5K together. And we were just looking at each other one night. And she's like, "We should write a book, a children's book, just about this." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "For other moms and dads out there that might want a bit of motivation to get in shape." So we wrote a book called The Great Race, My Daddy and Me. It's been out about a year and a half. I don't track the numbers on it anymore. It still sells a couple a month, but what I like is the impact. Okay, there was a Navy veteran in Alabama, I think it was. He had 2 twin daughters, exactly the same as me. He had a doctor look at him and say, "Do you want somebody else to raise your daughters?" So the same weekend that me and my daughter did our first 5K, this guy was doing his first 5K with his 2 kids.
Wow.
And yeah, we've talked pretty much every second day since. We've become really close friends. It's like, he's like, "Dude, I felt like I was reading my story." So that one was out about a year. And then I wrote this guy here, uh, In the Heart of the Forest. So it's basically my story, uh, about a little fox that's scared of coyotes because of an incident, and he gets nervous and stuff when he goes in the woods. But a local artist just drew it, and it looks like that's a copy, but it looks like Shaq
Yes.
just drew it on the pages. And this book has changed my life in a lot of ways. There was a lady in my town that she doesn't have kids, but she picked up the book because she had been through some PTSD and trauma, and she wanted to just read it. And she leaves this beautiful review. So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna search her name because I want to say hello and tell her how special that review was. So I'm in a little town of 3,800 people, and turns out this girl lives like a mile and a half from me, just down the road, and been through the exact same journey with me, just different stories. She lost 200 pounds, changed her life. She's been on her own mission for about 15 years, but we really clicked, and we've been together for 5 months, and things are just going amazing. So this little book, you never know. If you're looking for someone out there, write a book. You never know what can happen.
Yeah, this little book of mine too.
Not
Uh,
beautiful.
changed my life in a way. I mean, it's changing my life. That's how I started this podcast. Actually,
Mhm.
I think I told you the story.
Yeah, you did.
And as people started like, "Hey, I got a story to tell," so like I've been getting to know people from like all over. It's amazing, especially when our minds and are open to different perspectives
Mhm.
to learn about all kinds of new things, new cultures, new. It's amazing. I am loving it.
Oh, I've learned so much from these, and just doing these episodes has been so therapeutic.
Yes.
I mean, just hearing all these stories of, people that have gone through domestic abuse and now they're like thriving. Or one guest I had on, this guy is a powerlifting world champion. So 3 times powerlifting world champion. So
Yes.
after his first powerlifting championship, he got diagnosed with leukemia. And he's like, no, this is not going to beat me. He kept training while he's going through cancer treatment
Yes.
and then won his second world championship. And then he kept on going, and then he got tongue cancer and had 10% of his tongue removed, but he kept on training.
Wow.
And it's just talking to people and just hearing their stories. Like if I'm ever like whining about leg cramps or some side effects I still get from my other leg, I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
what have I
encouraging.
got to complain about?
Yes. One of the episodes I remember for your podcast, it's I think it was a young Marine who he tells a story that he tried to kill himself, right? And then because of that, he ended up being blind. And then, but then the courage and how he learned to
Oh,
code, it's amazing.
I
And
just
now
actually
he's
recorded with him yesterday too. He wanted to have
oh
me on his show. So this guy's just unreal. Like he's completely blind, 100% blind, but he does mountain climbing. He does jujitsu competitions. And I'm like,
yes,
how? But it's not against blind people. So they've got to start. One person guy has to have his arm on his left shoulder and one hand there. And that's how they start their round. But
yeah. Sometimes in life, not that I'm wishing anyone to go through anything hard. I mean, because who wants to right to go through hardships and whatnot? But sometimes certain things that happen to us in life, it's like the catalyst or the you know whatever makes us the change to go from one point, things that we did not know that we could do before, but that
mhm.
we end up doing later. So it's life is beautiful. I
It
find
is.
it.
If you would have told me 2 years ago that I'd be hosting a podcast, hosting live open mics every Sunday, I do my daughter made me join TikTok, and then I
Yes.
discovered there's a lot of musicians on there, and I've started a side project of the podcast where people they sing songs or written songs about overcoming stuff or mental health. I'm having them on there too. It's called Rock and Resilience. And this one lady, so I've done 8 of these. We do them every Sunday live. And this one girl, whenever she would sing, she'd turn her camera off because she was scared of what she looked like. And then when she was talking, she'd have her camera off, hidden. But then, so the next week, when she was introducing her song, she had her camera on. But then when she started singing, she'd turn her camera off. Well, 2 Sundays ago, her camera didn't go off. And she was just, even my girlfriend said, man, she's got a light in her now. Just because she was holding all this stuff back. But coming on this little live mental health open mic thing and just sharing, it's she's got a light in her and you can see it. And she's writing
Yes.
songs now and like it's unreal. I love it.
Yeah. And like in my case, I've never been somebody who's shy. I mean, I like talking, and again, I never knew I would be doing this. But How I'm not gonna say I was afraid of social media, but I was very much like, oh no, I'll never. There was something about it. I can't believe it now. I have like almost what 7,000, 8,000 followers on X and this and that and here there. I always had that, the fear. But I think it started. I started losing the fears when I went and I wrote my story, and 2 weeks after my book went on, I thought I don't know if I've said this, but I thought I was having a little bit of a panic attack because it's a responsibility, especially when you open your heart, you make yourself vulnerable about telling your story. And then also because there are some, it's just so much people in your life that it just takes a lot. And I don't know. I realized that I didn't even know why I called my book the way I called. Now, what's interesting though, there are other books out there. There's other books out there called The Courage to Succeed. And it's weird because it's like I never knew. I mean, it's not like saw the book anyways, but perhaps The Courage to Succeed, and then the subtitle A True American Dream, maybe because I don't know, resonates with me coming to America. And yeah, oh my gosh, just when you open your heart and once you let go, there's nothing else to lose, and they just relax.
Well, it's funny because back in 2007, I I started a little. I wouldn't call it a charity because we didn't take money, but we used to send the military guys over care packages from home. And then, of course, this little Facebook group I made went viral, and all these media places in Canada wanted to talk to me, and I was terrified. So I had a fear of things going viral just because of how I looked. And then even 2 years ago today, I had posted two side by sides online. One of me and my daughter when I was really big, and she's in my arms, and she looks kind of lost. And then the next photo after I lost all the weight of us working out together. So I posted it on X, and Arnold Schwarzenegger reposted it, and it had 8.1 million views in like 3 days. And I was terrified because I knew the trolls were coming.
Yes.
And they came, and I'd have a little bit of anxiety and stuff, but it wasn't as bad. And then I had um, a retired UFC fighter on my podcast. She was just a badass female. And I asked her how she dealt with trolls, and she's like, "Listen, if people don't like me, I really don't care. They could just turn the channel." And she said, "These people don't pay you rent money. Don't let them live in your head rent free."
Exactly.
And since then, trolls, I laugh at them now. I just move
Yeah.
on because that's all they want, right?
I don't even read their comments.
No.
I don't even, I mean, another thing I've learned also, we get so busy in a good way that I don't even have time to know what people are saying. Bad, good. I mean, of course, some good, people call me and say good things, but I'm sure, and like anything in life, you're going to get good and bad comments, but you just keep doing what you love, I have a saying, well, my husband is the one who taught me that one. As long as it's not, what does it say? Illegal, unethical, and immoral, you're good to go.
Yeah, and you know what? With posting that video from the church, of course, a lot of people, I'm a faithful person, but I don't force any of my beliefs. And I know if they don't like it, I don't really care. But I used to be afraid to post stuff like that because I was so worried about what people would think.
Yes.
And I was having a conversation with it's a friend of mine from my church. She's 75 years old, and she's got the biggest potty mouth ever, but she's just so sweet. And
Yes.
I was talking about this video and how I was going to post it online. She says, "Listen, if people delete you over that, honey, it's like a self-cleaning cat litter."
Yeah.
That wasn't her exact words. I can't say the exact words because I don't know what your filters are on here, but it was so awesome. Self-cleaning cat litter. You can
Uh,
imagine what she said, but
all I'm gonna say here is my husband was in the army for 20 years. And guy, it's like, whew. So there you go.
well, my very first episode I did was with a 20-year veteran who was he's walking across Canada for mental health for the second time. This time he's going east to west.
Yeah.
He did west to east the first time. But after we finished, he's like, "Man, I think I said the F word like 85 times in that." I'm like, "Listen, I don't care. It's 18
Yeah.
plus. If you need to
Exactly.
rant, if you need to vent." And I was so nervous, right? When I posted it on Apple, or you like, "Oh, this is gonna get flagged because there's so much cursing." But
I get so let me say something very, very interesting, and this comes from a Colombian perspective. I am so impressed how in North America, the F word is somebody that literally anybody says all the time. But oh no, still a little taboo. I will tell you something about my Colombian culture. It's something that actually, I'm not going to say had to change, but you know how it is when you were growing and stuff. The things that we say out there, I mean, it is insane. People don't believe me, but it is insane how we talk to each other, especially in the area where I lived. And it's such a normalcy. It's so normal that if anyone go and hears talking that way, they'll be like, oh my gosh. It's like, but it's, and I grew up in that kind of environment where it was perhaps a little bit of the opposite, So I talk a little bit about that in my book. It's like, you got to have a balance, of course, but it amazes me sometimes, how still little things like that are taboo.
I learned a lot from because this book, it's been out. A friend of mine in town here translated it in Spanish. We have a French version, and someone made a Ukrainian version that we donate to newcomers that come to Canada. But I read the book in Spanish, even though I didn't know, because I wanted to hear what it sounded like, right? And then someone's like, wow, you sound just like Puss in Boots. You should do a. I'm like, if I didn't think it sounded so horrible, I'd do like an audiobook, right? Because it was, I don't remember what
Uh,
the title translates into, but now I got to find it and read it to you. But I did this whole video and I sent to my
so
kids.
you just spoke in Spanish? Did you read it in Spanish?
No, so someone just translated the English version, right?
Uh-huh. To
Um,
Spanish. And you
yeah.
read it.
So then I read it, but like my Spanish is horrible. I found out. I gotta read it to you. What
Let's do
Forrest?
it.
Oh, I can't find it. But yeah, I'll find that video clip and send you after. It's just audio me reading. It totally sounds like Puss in Boots. I don't know.
Oh my God, you should hear me when I was first learning English. Oh, it was hilarious. I mean, it was. No, it's. I have so many anecdotes from that time. I don't know if I told you this one. So I was working as a receptionist. I was in Florida, and I was not having the best day that day because the whole. I was, and so a patient comes in and he's trying. So he starts. I never forget this image. He starts stopping, and he goes. I said, "Sir, what is your last name?" He goes, "English," and I said, "Sir, what is your last name?" "English." And he kept saying English, and I'm like, and I just felt like I had enough. And I said, "Am I speaking in French to you or what?" And he says, "No, my last name is English."
Ah, nice.
For real. Little silly things like that. And I couldn't say some other words. Like, for example, I couldn't say the word she eats. I couldn't say that. I will say the other one. And
Yeah.
also kind of weird things, it was funny. People would be like, laugh. It was funny. I couldn't
So,
say, stick a fork in me, I'm done. I would say something else.
I love it. Well, I moved from Newfoundland to Ontario back in 2000, and I don't know if you ever heard a really strong Irish accent, but you speed that up times 10, and that's how Newfoundlanders sound. So I kind of lost my accent a little bit. It still comes out. There's a bit of an Irish twang in there. But if I had tried to do this 25 years ago, nobody would have understood the word I was saying, except for I'd have to put subtitles up then
Yeah.
because they just talk so fast, and we have our own little funny words for
Yes.
stuff. But
But accents are fun,
oh yeah,
especially when you're open. I mean, I've met some people that are, you know, not so open to accents, and we're a little bit like, but just laugh at it and keep on moving. That's all you
you know
gotta do.
what's awesome is people. I'm hooked on New Zealand accents. Think it's
Yes.
the cutest sounding thing in the world. But I had this lady record with me, and she had a potty mouth too. But when she cursed and that with that accent, it sounded so damn cute. And I'm like, it kept
Yes.
distracting me so much because I couldn't stop. I'm like, oh my goodness, can you say this? Can you say this? That
Yeah, it's
didn't
like
happen, but
me. I will try to say something that apparently was supposed to be bad, but it ended up being like kind of cute, fun. People will be like, "Oh, it's so cute," and I'm like, "But I'm upset. I'm mad. It's cute. Eh, I didn't want to be cute."
so how has your book been doing so far?
My book. Well, my book. I was thinking to restart it. So here's the thing. I don't have the audiobook completed yet, and I cannot wait because once I had the audiobook, I'm gonna be sharing it. That's what I want to do. I want to share it with my guests. Because I realized something. I mean, people don't have the time to read. Although this is only 100 pages, though. But I really want people to read my book. It's really not about the money. It's really not. Um, I'll, I just want people to know my story. Not because, but get something out of it. Because I just want to tell people, like, hey, you have the courage.
Hmm.
If I could do it, you can do it. And so, yeah, I hope the audiobook is finished in the next couple months. And then that way I can start, you know, giving out to people. I also have a blog where one of the things I started doing since I started having guests here on the podcast, I started developing blog articles, which, by the way, I'll probably develop an article for our conversation, put it on my blog, and then send it all over and do the
Now, when
shorts.
you
And
do your audiobook, is that your voice? You're doing that, or
no, I wish I tried,
yeah?
but the KDP thing told me that I don't know. Um, and You know what I was thinking? I'm going to do the one in Spanish. That I will do for sure. It'll be a lot easier.
See, if I could get someone to audiobook this, I'd probably pick like James Earl Jones or something, but maybe Barry White. I don't know. But I could probably do it myself. Maybe the Spanish one. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, well, if you want me to do the Spanish, well, but does it have to be a male voice?
No, not at all. Do can you do audiobooks on children's books? They're so short. I don't really
Yeah,
know.
I think you can. I think you can. I mean, don't you do like KDP, like the? Yeah,
No,
I
no,
think
because
you
the whole
can.
thing with a children's book though is the pictures too, right?
That's interesting.
Because the audiobook just reading this would be like 3 minutes long, maybe.
3 minutes long?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how long it would take to read this. Maybe.
Maybe you need to write the long version of it to make it into an audiobook.
I have some. There's a company I've been working with that I can't really say too much about right now, but they're shopping my book around to like animation companies that make it into like a little short film.
That's so cool.
So that would be cool because like the first movie I ever saw in my life was The Fox and the Hound, and
Yes.
I think I was 6 years old, and my dad had to take me out of the theater. I was crying so hard. About 6 months ago, me and my daughter were like, we watched it together for the first time ever, and I was like, here we go again. But I just look over at her, and she's like, ugly crying. I'm like, yep, I've been there. But so that would be
Yes.
really cool to see a book in a like an
I,
animated short film. That
I
would.
remember I mean, I'm sure maybe my mom took me to the movie theater earlier, but the only movie I remember and seeing a cartoon that made me cry was King Lion, I think. The
Or the
very,
Lion
very
King.
first one. Lion King. See?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I say it backwards.
The King Lion, is that how it's said in Spanish or?
Sí, El Rey León.
Oh, yeah. So did you see it with like Spanish dubbed over, or was it the English version?
I don't remember. All I know is that Simba the brother killed the dad and whatever, and then I just started crying. That's all I remember.
Mine was 1981, I think, when that movie came out. So that was like
Yes.
probably cost a
So
dollar
I probably would
25.
have been about 9 years old, 8 to 9 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was the only movie that I cried. After that, I said I'm not crying anymore movies because it was pretty emotional. And then I saw Titanic later on, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna
Oh,
cry.
that movie just made me mad about
Yes,
like Rose. Come on, there's so much room on that door.
I know. I was really upset. Okay, so we share the same. Okay, yeah, I was upset because there was no need for Jack to drown.
No,
There was no need for it.
or they could have switched spots every 15 minutes and let the body kind of warm up a bit again and
Exactly.
rotate on the
Yes.
door.
And poor Jack, he already has such a bad, life already. Give him a chance.
Yeah.
Rose could have just go. She already had a good life. Don't you think?
It's so funny because when I was watching, I let my daughter watch that maybe a month ago, and she said the exact same thing. She's like, "Come on, Rose,"
Yeah.
and I was like, just like, "Oh my God!" It's like a little me over there. She's like, "Come on, Rose. There's so much
Come on.
room there. Let him up."
Yeah. There was room in there. So yeah, I was mad. I did not want to cry. I just talking about movies. So, anyways, oh my goodness, so much to talk. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. It's funny because I always say sometimes I say I'm gonna be honest, and people look at me like, okay, like you never been honest before. Like, well, I try to put something together, like a little something, and as you come in, and and it just this thing gave me all the wrong information on the wrong person. There's another Dave Murphy out there who
Oh, there's
wrote a
lots of us.
Yeah, who wrote a book. He wrote a book about, and I thought it was you. It said he wrote several fascinating books, including Spanish Fiesta and Tapas in Spain, a world traveler.
Wow, maybe someone heard my Spanish voice.
You see?
And they got inspired and like,
Yeah. But let me ask you this: why the Unsung Podcast? What's the name for?
well, my story's been out there. I mean, after the whole Arnold Schwarzenegger thing, and then when I was searching for the paramedic that saved my life, it took me 29 years to find her, and that was the big viral on that one. When like I still find that on websites I'd never even heard of, like the Indian Express, and like some X accounts with like 8 million followers posted it, and I just thought, you know what, my story's been out there, my story's been shared. I want to give other people a voice. I got some pretty cool things coming up with Special Olympians. I'm just working with, doing some interviews with those athletes that never get a voice, just giving people that wouldn't have a voice just a little forum, talk about whatever they want.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like in the US, but up here, the Special Olympics get a 1 hour show once a year. And when I was talking to that power lifter, the world champion, it came from my conversation with him because he was a Special Olympics coach for 9 years. And he said, those athletes are the most fierce athletes I've ever worked with. They never give up. They never quit. They're never like, oh, I've had enough, I'm going home. They don't stop until they hit that mark. And it just gave me that idea. Like, you know what? Let's give these guys and girls a voice that, that they don't even get a live show like on our ESPN up here, TSN. They get a 1 hour recorded show once a year on a Saturday morning at 8 o'clock.
You know
So,
what? I don't know. So it's in my mind now. I'm probably gonna research it.
yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, just giving, the musicians are coming at me fierce. I've got a wait list, and it's people just want to share their music and share their stories. And it's just so inspiring. And just, well, talking to people like you, and it's so impressive what you did. Just getting yourself through all those studies and your story with the guy and the rent and learning karate, and just like that inspired the shit out of me. Pardon my language, I don't care. But
It's okay.
it was very inspiring, and every person I've talked to has inspired me a different way. Um, there was one guy that he came out with me. He was so shy and he was so nervous, and he said, "Man, I had to have like a few drinks after that because my nerves were raw." And he's like, "But thank you." He's like, "Now I'm putting myself out there. I volunteered at work to lead like team meetings and stuff, just giving people confidence, and I don't know, it's changing lives even." Excuse me. I
Yes.
don't care if when I look at like my YouTube numbers, some episodes have like 8 plays. I'm like, "Pff, whatever. Why am I even
Oh
bothering?"
yeah.
But then I'm like, there's so many podcasts and there's so much out there for short attention spans, like TikTok, for example. You can put up the most heartfelt, gut wrenching message, and 200 people will view it. But then you see some guy dance around in a chicken costume holding a banana, and that has 25 million views. You're like, why am I even bothering? But the reason we bother, I had a guy reach out to me after an episode where I shared a little bit of my story with one of my guests. And he said to me, man, I had a plan. I had a letter written. And then I looked at my kid and I'm like, I think his son was 6 or 7, like still pretty young, but pretty wise. And he's like, I listened to your story about you and your daughter. And then I looked at my kid and I just pictured him crying the day after he found out that dad wasn't going to be around anymore forever. And he's like, that's my new lifeline. So I think that episode with someone had like 52 plays, but that first play out of that 51, that's all that matters right there.
Absolutely. Giving
Yeah.
the listening to someone. I mean, it's therapeutic. You know how
Yeah.
many people pay to go be listened by some stranger for a whole hour, you know? And for me it has been that therapeutic, just talking to, like you say earlier, it's not, we lose that ego, it's all about me kind of thing, because now we're listening to what some other person is going through, and it's just amazing, all this feedback that we get.
You know what? I had a guy on, it's a professional wrestler. He's a up and coming professional wrestler, but he's being trained by Seth Rollins. And this guy was just he's only 22, I think, but he was the wisest young person I've ever spoke with. And we were chatting about PTSD, and he said to me, one bad side effect a lot of people with PTSD have is that they keep their eyes down when you're talking to someone. And since I heard that, I'm like, holy smokes, I do that. Like if I go into a restaurant or to buy a coffee, I put my head down and I order. But the day after that episode, I started looking people right in the eyes when I talk to them, and it's a whole different world.
Yes.
And I didn't realize I felt how rude I was being. Like I couldn't even look at people. But it was just, I don't know, something left over in my mind from all the stuff I went through.
Probably a mechanism of protection, like
Yeah.
protecting,
Well, I think
Yes.
as well too. I won't go into this too much, but I was with someone that wasn't very nice to me, and in a relationship for a lot of years, and they were very jealous. And if I go to a restaurant and a waitress would come over, whether she was very attractive or not, I'd be like this with my menu, and I wouldn't look up because I used to get, oh, why don't you get her number? You're checking her
Hmm.
out, and why don't you go talk to her? So I was like, I think it was in my head. Maybe I was afraid. I was always looking down,
You were
and
conditioned. Yeah.
yeah. And then I
It's
go out with
amazing.
my new girlfriend, and we're both looking up at the waitress at the exact same time. There's no more of that crap. It's so refreshing, and yeah, things are so good.
That's good. That's good.
But yeah, so I'm learning a lot from having guests on. Learning a lot from watching other podcasts.
Yes.
I need more time so I can catch up on all these other podcasts, but I do, if I go for a walk, I listen to the audio versions. Sometimes like Zach, the blind veteran,
Hmm.
and that dude, he designed uh
A game, right?
he designed apps for people with
Yes.
visible disabilities,
Yeah,
whatever I'm looking at.
disabilities. Yeah. That is insane, amazing. How do you do that? What I find interesting is us with perfect vision sometimes cannot even achieve that now. Imagine, but I think it's when what you put in your mind to do. You really, it's what a story. That really,
Well, the night after I had him on, my daughter has a sleep mask that's like a big wolf. So I was here by myself, and I get up to go downstairs to make coffee, and I put the mask on. Like, I want to see what this is like. And just to walk down 15 stairs and find my way into the kitchen, it was dangerous. I was like banging into stuff. I'm like, wow, like just imagine your whole life being flipped like that.
yeah,
It's unreal.
it's so many things. But that opens our eyes for so many disabilities out there. I recently had a girl speak about autism, and it was amazing. Uh, she was so smart. I was just so impressed.
Yeah.
And she was telling me that she couldn't talk more than 22 words when she was age 5, and you would never think she has autism. I mean, whatever it is that we think about it. So many stories out there.
Yeah,
We begin to.
I had two girls come on that have FND.
Yes,
Some
I
some
listened to that
very
episode too.
Yeah, they were amazing. It's the only one I didn't ask my pigeon question on because
Yes,
I always kind of warn people there's some ridiculous question coming at the end when we do our pre-chat, but I just didn't
yes,
feel right doing it on that one because they have some problems talking and putting words together. I didn't want to make it uncomfortable there. So
I
I
see.
think out of 35 or so episodes, there's only two when I haven't done it. I got an episode coming up it's only 18 minutes long, but it's with a guy that was in an accident with a drunk driver, and he has like severe brain damage. And I just want to share his story to hopefully maybe stop people from drinking and driving, if they're or just to hear someone's story like that. Like it was hard to do. But he did so well. But it's only going to be like an 18-minute episode, but I don't care.
Right. It's about and you were mentioning that the whole thing with TikTok and this social media and stuff. But at the end of the day, you know what? I mean, quantity is, great. We all want to do a lot of, but quality it's what matters, and eventually people's going to find a time. They might be going scrolling things, but eventually we all go through times where actually it has happened to me where like, okay, let's say I'm feeling down, depressed, hopeless, what I'm not hopeless, but something. And then I just actually go out there and type whatever. And then they find me out there, and then find somebody, and then the message gets there right at the right time, the right moment, kind of like what happened to you
Mhm.
when when it's the right time, you know.
I have a giant field in front of my office here that faces the mountains, and it's just a wide open farm field. And there's some days if I'm just checking out numbers just to see downloads and whatever, I'm like, okay, so this episode has 125 downloads. That's not bad, but it could be great. But then I look out in that field, I'm like, if 125 people were standing there right now clapping, that would look pretty impressive. So I'm like,
Yeah.
right? If there's 10 people standing in front of your couch, just hey, you know what? That was good.
The other thing is, I have kept myself so busy doing this that I haven't even looked at the. Maybe that sometimes is good.
Yeah, it is good.
Just you just keep doing what you just keep following your heart, keep putting out there. And I mean, I had actually this it's in an episode that's gonna air tomorrow, maybe actually. It's about this couple. Well, they're not a couple per se. They're just, good friends. She's probably, I don't know, in her 70s and he's in his 50s, and they both are survivors. They try to commit suicide, and they openly share it. And they have a program where they invite people. So it's very, very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then through them, I learned that I'm also a survivor. I don't know. I mean, I kind of knew I was some kind of survivor, but I learned that I'm also a survivor from somebody who committed suicide. And that's pretty rough, because you think there's so many things you can learn from other people's experiences. And also that you can apply to your own life. That way, we learn by seeing other people, so we don't have to walk those roads again. Kind of. Yeah. Well, you got anything? Do you have like a message? Anything that you want our listeners to take home with? Anything that you want to say?
What I would say, if you're out there struggling, going through anything mentally, um, just talk to someone. It's hard. Even just reach out, just to listen to a lot of music. Music is a magical, better than any therapist I've ever been to. If you're up for
Yes.
it, try boxing. If you got really bad boxing can let you I have a heavy bag in my basement. If I'm ever having a really crappy day at work, I'll just go, hey, I'll be back in 10 minutes. I'll go throw on my gloves and just beat the crap out of that thing. And it's like, oh, God.
Yes. And
So yeah, but
it reminded me, one of the messages that this couple has, it's they say, wait one more day.
yeah,
Whatever it is that's going on, just give it 24 hours. It can make a difference.
it sure can. The paramedic, I had the paramedic on that saved my life in 1994, and we were talking PTSD, and she's like, just worry about the next 5 minutes. Get through that 5 minutes, and then your day can start over at any time of the day.
Exactly.
She said, even a broken clock is right twice a day, so why can't you just wait? Oh, I can't remember what she said. It was so good. Something about a broken clock is still right twice a day. So just don't give up. Oh,
Don't give up. That's right. And as far as if there's any podcaster out there listening to us, I mean, I don't know by experience, of course, because I haven't been doing this too long, but I have here in my mind, it's about showing up. Well, 50% is about showing up. The rest just comes in, and just consistency. Just keep doing it. Consistent. And you never know. You never know where it could take you. But as long
you
as you're
never know.
enjoying it, though, that's the main thing. Because see, I think that's the difference between when you start doing something and just more for like, I don't know, yeah, the views are important and all that. That's great. But the moment you stop enjoying it because now it became, I don't know, like it's just too much. I mean, kind of loses the purpose, right?
Do you
I
know what I
think.
compare it to? Um, Being in a sports pool, like a playoff pool, because then I never do them in the playoffs because I like to sit back and enjoy with no stress. I don't bet on games, nothing. Because once you start doing that, your mind is, oh, I hope this guy gets a couple of goals, and you don't enjoy it anymore.
Exactly.
And on this podcast page we're on, if there's anyone out there thinking about starting a podcast, I wouldn't be going out. I see people on there spending like $500, $600, $700 on equipment. Well, you don't know if in 4 weeks, if you're just going to say, "I'll screw this," right?
Exactly.
That's why I started out. I'm about 2.5 months. I'm using pretty good equipment, but it's my work equipment. Like I haven't
Mm-hmm.
gone and, forked out money for a new mic or like a
Yes,
high-end camera because, I didn't know if I was going to stick with it, but now I'm addicted and now I've got some sponsors
exactly.
starting
And
to
then
come
you
my
can
way. So,
grow. Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
I'll let them pay for it, right?
Yeah. And the other thing is, one of the questions I see on those groups a lot is like, what do I do I want to start a podcast, but what do I do? You
Yeah,
know what I do? Just do it.
yeah.
Just start with something. I
Or you'll
started
see a
with,
lot too. Like, how do I make money from this? Well, you know what?
uh,
I felt like saying, man, listen, I've got two children's books out. I've made about $187 from those in a year. Um, if that's your first thought, don't even bother because it's
exactly.
right. Maybe 10 years ago, sure.
Yeah,
But now I'm like with TikTok being like 10-second videos, or now there's YouTube shorts, which is funny because sometimes I'll post a little trailer and it'll get like 9, 10,000 views, 20,000 views, but then that episode gets 6 views because people have short attention spans.
exactly. Exactly. It's so crazy. That is right. I've been doing the YouTube, and YouTube is growing. But hey, we just got to keep doing this. Well, listeners, if today's episode resonated, moved you, please go subscribe to Dave's Unsung Podcast. I thought you thought I was gonna say my podcast. It doesn't matter. Yours, mine.
Hey,
I just kidding. It's a beautiful exploration of real people. I mean, doing extraordinary things because I mean, very quiet ways, like you were saying. I mean, you don't see these stories anywhere else. And you can find it in Spotify. I think that's where I found you in Spotify, Apple, or whatever it is that you listen your podcasts.
you know what's
And
funny is that my biggest source of downloads is iHeartRadio from Singapore.
oh, yes,
So you never know.
exactly. I'm about to find out. Actually, I heard that it was Ukraine for me.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
I never know.
Well, for your Ukrainian listeners, we do have a Ukrainian version of this,
Oh,
and
okay.
what they do, the guy that published this book for me, I'll just tell you this really quick before we go. He uh he had a newcomer that immigrated from Ukraine to Canada, and she wanted to give back, so she translated this book for nothing, and then they put out a whole Ukrainian version, but it's got like English on the one side and Ukrainian on the other side, so that Ukrainian kids can also learn English.
Oh, very good.
And they do that as a fundraiser for new families that come to Canada. So,
Yes.
yeah, I turned that all over then. So, but I can send you that link too if you like.
Yes, yes. Thank you so, so very much for taking the time to be here. And again, also, if you don't mind subscribing to my podcast as well, you can listen both at the same time.
I've already subscribed to yours. I've
I
already had.
know. No, no, I wasn't talking about you. I'm talking about whoever
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
listeners. No, we listen to each other.
Yeah, we do. When this episode launches, I'll share it on my page, and I love getting the word out about other people too. So,
Absolutely. In fact, I think you're the first podcaster ever that actually reached out to me.
really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and I was very, very happy, very like honor. It's like it's just felt so good.
Yeah, you were a joy to talk to as well, and you've got a light shining on you as well. So I hope you inspire people out there.
Thank you. Same to you. Wish you the best on your podcast. Keep doing it. Keep going out there. It's just you never know.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.